Hi, everybody. It's Josh with Talk About Trek, and I'm back after a 2 week absence, and it took me 2 weeks to finish the IDIC Epidemic. And not because I didn't enjoy the book, just because other things, took away my time. But I had just finished up the Vulcan Academy Murders and wanted to continue on with Jean Lorrah's story and also finish up the last of the four Jean Lorrah Trek books and just kind of picked away at it here and there over the past 2 weeks. But then finally yesterday I was able to sit down, finish out a big chunk of it, and just really happy to have read the IDIC Epidemic. Uh, Again, it's like a direct sequel to the Vulcan Academy Murders, so I think you would want to read that one first to get the full picture. Here from the cover it says, "It is a killer and something far worse." The new novel by Jean Lorrah. I tried to look up some information on the cover, but the cover artist apparently was uncredited. Too bad, too, because I think they did a very fine job there. So, okay. From the back cover, IDIC, infinite diversity in infinite combination. More than just a simple credo for those of the planet Vulcan, it is the cornerstone of their philosophy. Now on the Vulcan science colony Nissus, that credo of tolerance is being put to its sternest test. From here, on a planet where Vulcan, human, Klingon, and countless other races live, and work side by side, a deadly plague has sprung up. A plague whose origins are somehow rooted in the concept of IDIC itself. A plague that threatens to tear down that centuries-old maxim and replace it with an even older concept: interstellar war. Whoa, right? Deep, crazy stuff going on. So, very interesting book, like I said. Very different from the last book. The last book really focused a lot on, I guess, more on Kirk, more on the Enterprise crew, where this book does take definitely a bigger focus on new characters. And one of the new characters you get to meet, who I would actually argue is the main character of the book, is this Klingon by the name of Korsal Katasai. And Korsal is a different kind of Klingon. Instead of being a warrior, he was born with, I think, nearsightedness, so he had to grow up a different way and became a very, very successful engineer. And then, eventually basically came to this planet of Nissus, where all these different peoples will come together to, work to advance their scientific causes, working together instead of, fighting each other. So, again, Korsal, I think, takes kind of the center stage here, and basically the book kind of switches back and forth between what's going on the planet and then the Enterprise, who is on its way to the planet. And then maybe about halfway in there, they get to the planet, things kind of start mixing together a little bit. And again, very different from the last book, because even when the Enterprise arrives, you still are dealing with a lot of new characters, and I'm just trying to introduce kind of like some new stories, which I really like. It was just interestingly, I don't know, just a very fun way to tell this very kind of serious story, and I think that the way that they jumped around and the way that she kept telling all these kind of little stories and stuff really added to the whole of the thing. So, now, from the giant book about books, okay, the author here had to say, Gene commented, "More Night of the Twin Moons, this time with the common Trek idea of making something good and noble appear to be dangerous and possibly even evil, only to turn the tables again in the end and have good and noble save the day." So, what she's referring to here, and actually it took me a second when I read that last night, it didn't quite hit me, but what she's referring to, of course, is the concept of infinite diversity and infinite combinations, something good and noble. And in the beginning of the story, it seems that it's because of this diversity on this planet that this plague is killing everyone. But then again, by the end of the story, it's all brought back around where it's because of the diversity that the people on the planet are able to be saved. So, just a very, I don't know, a very kind of well done, roundabout way of just kind of bringing things back into focus of the whole point of the philosophy that we can only be better, by being around people that are different from us so that we can learn and grow and, just continue on in that way. So it was a well done lesson, I think, and just told in a very fun way. So I guess we should get into the story now. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you can just kind of drop it right here, and we'll join you next time. But again, this story picks up right from the previous book, which is kind of cool. Let me find that here, actually. So the previous book, I haven't fixed it yet, which is the Vulcan Academy Murders, was number 20, and now we are at number 38 here. So 18 books later, we come up with the direct sequel to that story. And then basically what happens is the Enterprise is leaving Vulcan, and they have been charged with transporting the followers of Tevet. And the followers of Tevet are these kind of fanatical Vulcans who believe not in IDIC, that concept is polluting Vulcan, so they have been given a choice, either kind of not be killed, but kind of be forcibly rehabilitated, or leave and, be exiled. So the Enterprise has been chosen to exile these people and take them to their, planet where they're going to live out the rest of their lives in whatever weird way they choose to do. But as they're on their way to do that, they get a message from the Federation about the plague that's happening on Nissus. And they're basically recalled to Vulcan. They're going to grab all the doctors that they can that can help in this situation and get as fast as they can off to Nissus to help take care of the situation. So this is when you're getting to repeat or see again all those characters from the previous novel that you got to love. You get Dr. Sorrell and Daniel Corrigan. And Daniel Corrigan now is, bonded with Dr. Sorrell's daughter Tamir. Sarek and Amanda are also coming along because they're being transported somewhere else. So, but again, as I was saying earlier, the book not mainly, but mostly focuses on Corsal. So you get to see a lot of his little adventures. They give kind of his interactions with his colleagues, his fellow scientists first, like when the plague first starts hitting. There's this Orion named Borth, who he knows is kind of up to no good, and would do something bad, with the knowledge of this plague. So he does also have so again, you get like so much backstory and information on this character. You have to think that when she was writing it, it was her idea to make Corsal the main character of the book. So you learn that he was once married to a Federation officer, and he had 2 children with her, Kevin and something else. Anyway, the 2 kids, but she ended up having to leave, kind of torn between her family and her career, right? So then he remarried this Orion named Sela, and now lives on Nissus and is an engineer there. So he gets called as one of the only engineers still standing. The plague has been devastating the planet. Up to the power plant. There's trouble with the dam that powers this whole city, so he's called up there to help out. And it turns out that this ice flow has damaged one of the turbines. We're getting there in the end. And so he has to help out with that situation. So you're just getting all these kind of fun little situations on the planet with Corsell and all what he's doing. And then that's interspersed with the Enterprise on its way to the planet. Just kind of working through the initial information that they're getting. Trying to figure out, the best plan of action moving ahead. And also having to deal with Sendet and the other followers of Tevet. It's kind of this additional nuisance or problem that they have to worry about. So okay, so eventually the Enterprise gets to the planet, and then they can start working on a cure for this, right? And then kind of right before that, you get the big maybe mid-action scene of the book where Corsall and his son have to go up to examine the dam to kind of see what's going on, determine if there's going to be more problems down the line, and they determine that yes, there is. But unfortunately, they get caught in like a big storm. There's an exciting escape scene where they have to escape out of this valley, but unfortunately, they're stuck. The storm does not abate, and they're going to freeze to death because they've run out of wood. Luckily, the Enterprise finds them just in time, is able to beam them up, and then once they have them on board, they're able to find out that their blood is actually an antidote for, all the species on the planet with iron-based blood. So now they can start synthesizing an antidote, but the plague on the planet is also kind of like adapting and spreading, and they find out that it's spreading more through people of mixed heritage. And that's just kind of like a big talking point then for this Sendak guy who thinks that people shouldn't be mixing at all, right? So that's kind of like one of the other points of this book is you have like these two ideologies clashing against each other. What is better? And of course, what is better? Infinite diversity in infinite combinations is better, obviously. And that's what we learned in the end. So they're able to come up with that partial cure. They're able to start helping people with the iron-based blood. They help out the med staff first, of course. But all the other people with copper-based blood, which is Vulcans and I think some other races, are still affected. And of course, that includes Mr. Spock, who comes down with it, and he comes down with it hard. He's got like the new strain, because he's a mixed heritage guy. Amanda is also sick too. But they're able to cure her with the iron-based blood serum. But now Spock needs something else. This is when... So there's these other characters too that they introduce that are from the first novel. The healer Tapina, who was kind of like Dr. Sorrell's, partner there, and her daughter Takar. So kind of at the end of the book, you get like a little side story with this Takar, and it's found out that she is actually not a Vulcan, but a Romulan. And her Romulan blood holds the cure for the copper-based blood, So now they have both cures, but they don't have enough blood from these, just I think, 4 people to get to the whole planet. So they're giving them like extra blood-producing stuff to get more blood and keep helping everybody out, right? But disaster strikes when the dam is overcome by like the ice flow, basically. So now they have to evacuate the city, they have to evacuate the hospital. And this is kind of the final action scene of the book here. And another new character, Bo Deaver, who's a half-human, half-Orion mathematician. And he's kind of like a, I don't know, like a Johnny Bravo. He's trying to like romance people, But I think he's got his sights set on Tapina, and is trying to kind of help her out, and while they're in the hospital, and kind of take care of her, and is there when the flood hits, and is there to help evacuate her. And in the process of the evacuation, their ambulance gets hit by the flood. they get trapped in like an air pocket in a building, and in the end are rescued by Sarek and Spock. Spock, who's been cured by the cure, of course, at this point. But that's just kind of the, I don't know. The book, like I said, is very interesting. You have these other side characters, you have these little side stories going on, and everything kind of like winds up nice in the end, you know? So, in the end, they're rescued, they're able to get T'Pina back to the ship, they're able to keep working on the cure, and it's interesting because they want to call the Klingons for help, because the Klingons' blood could cure, more people on the planet. But they have this dilemma of, if they call the Klingons for help, the Klingons will know that there's this disease that Federation members are terribly affected by, but Klingons are immune to. So it could be a terrible weapon, right? Same thing with the Romulans. They couldn't possibly approach them, so they're like kind of stuck. What do you do? But in the end, the Klingons actually approached the planet to follow up with Corsal, just to kind of see, because he's not checked in a bit. And in the end, they reveal that they already knew about it and aren't willing to use it as a weapon because it apparently affects the Imperial race. In this part of the book, I found was very interesting because, the whole time I'm picturing TOS Klingons, and then they talk about the Imperial race as Klingons with long hair and more pronounced brow ridges. So I kind of liked how that ended up, and that at the end, the crew of Klingons that came in were willing to donate their blood to help make more, vaccine for the planet too. So that was a good ending, I felt. So yeah, I am definitely missing a lot that you guys should know about, but I'm just going to say that you ought to read the book yourself. So do it like this. You read this one, and then read this one, and do it in more than 3 weeks, because you're not giving it, the best chance. So with that, I've read all 4 of the Gene Lorrah Trek books. Metamorphosis, Survivors, Vulcan Academy Murders, and the IDIC Epidemic. So, very cool, right? All 4 were good. She's an excellent writer, and I had a great time. I think I'll make them into a little playlist on my channel. The Gene Lorrah playlist. So, that'll be good. Anyway, that's it for the book talk for tonight. Let's look at the notes, just make sure that I'm not missing anything. The book was published in 1988. I started reading it on the 4th of April. The 8th of April, and finished it on the 20th. Notes were, I took too long to read it. Read it faster. Lots of great stuff with Sarek in here. Sarek, actually, big part of the book, and I didn't even barely mention him. Spock, Bones. They call Dr. M'Benga Jeff. And it's not his name. His name is not Jeff. It's Joseph. I noticed that in the end, and I was like, Jeff? I don't think his name is Jeff. Joseph. But anyway, he's in it as well, so that's kind of cool. And, yeah, all in all, a fun little book. Happy to have read it, and now I need to know what am I going to do next. I have got a variety to choose from, as you can see. So, do we go down to Deep Space Nine? Do we go to Voyager? What do we do? I don't know. But we'll move on from TOS. We don't want to go back to TNG yet, so it's going to be Voyager, it's going to be Deep Space Nine, maybe Enterprise, maybe something else, I don't know. But, anyway, we'll talk about it again soon, hopefully sooner than 2 weeks. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Live long and prosper, and we'll see everybody in the next one. Have a good one. Goodbye.